Hey guys, thanks for checking out this guest episode. I have my lovely fiance, Steph Gorton, here with me at the moment, soon to be Steph Frey. The Gorton name will die. But incredible to have Steph on the podcast again. Today, we are talking about how to get out of a rut and change your life. It's something that's come up quite considerably, quite a lot, not considerably lately, especially in the gym. Over to Steph.
Yeah, look, I think what we're hearing a lot of in the gym, but also in so many other areas, like friends of ours, people like obviously I run a coaching business. So, within the coaching space, I think a lot of people, especially around this mid-year mark, as we get, towards middle of the year, they start to feel like, all those goals that they set at the beginning of the year and all those things that they were driving towards at the beginning of the year and super pumped about, they're now going into like June, July and realizing, I actually haven't done shit about that. And so they're starting to feel that like that feeling of, and I think you guys might know it for the listeners, like that feeling of, stuckness or just like nothing's changing, like bored and just feeling like almost like you're in a cage and you want to break out. And I think that's probably the way it's kind of described to us. Hey.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So Steph was going to hit me with some questions here. I was going to give you the typical Tim response at what I would go with as a response here.
Yeah, I think like stuck in a rut is a phrase that we hear a lot in our community and definitely around our gym members and also like, yeah, just people in our world. And I think everyone wants growth. I think everybody, wants to do something amazing with their lives and have their dream life, but it's often the rut that's holding them back. And I think that if you have a lot of behind the door conversations with people, Tim, like you have so many conversations with people that are, behind the door, like closed conversations that other people don't get a look into. And I'd love to know a little bit more about, what is a rut and what does that actually look like? And why do you think that people are getting stuck in these ruts?
I think the rut thing is a very overused term. I think when people lose motivation or they lose, they're all of a sudden they're training 5 days a week and then they're training 3 or 2, or they get sick or something happens or life happens, or kids happen, or something along those lines happens, then automatically they feel like they've lost all momentum and it's all fucked. So the analogy I always give with this is, if you get a flat tire on your car, what are you going to do? You're going to get out and change a tire, or you're going to set the car on fire and push it down the hill and say, fuck it, like everything's fucked now. Like, no, obviously you just get out, change the tire and move on with it. And that's the same with a rut. It's like acknowledge that it's a rut and move forward with it.
And why do you think people get in the rut in the first place? Like, what is it that, I guess, can you give us a bit of an example of that? Like, what does a rut look like for some people?
Yeah. I guess it's just a lack of progression for a lot of people. So it's a lack of perceived progression that they are moving forward with their training, their career, their life, their finances, their relationships, all these types of things. Generally, like when someone feels like there's a lack of progression, that's where it's at. But lack of progression is so subjective unless it's something that's measured. So you may feel like everything's going to shit, but on a measurable point of view, things might actually be going in the right direction.
I love that because I think that what you're really saying there is like, be careful what you're measuring it to and against, right? Because people like, if you are the kind of person that's listening right now and you're like, I feel behind in life, or I feel like I'm not getting ahead, or I feel like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not where I should be, or any of those things are coming to mind for you, just quickly check in with yourself and ask, like, compared to who? Because like, who are you measuring up against? Like, who are you holding? Because for you to be not where you think you need to be, you're putting yourself in competition with an example of where you want to be. And I think sometimes like actually being really clear about, okay, what am I actually using to measure my progression? Tim, tell me, what do you think, like, why do you think people get stuck in a rut?
So a couple of things here. I've got 4 main ones that are just coming to me off the top of my head. I'd say they don't have big enough goals, or their goals are very woo-woo and have no real structure to them. I know it's been beaten to death, but I feel like a SMART goal is something that is a really good thing to do, and that's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So a lot of people start fitness, or they get into fitness, or they get in the gym and they're like, oh, I just want to be consistent. But then being consistent gets pretty boring after a while if there's nothing big to really go for. So I think you need to have a big goal and something that's huge, something that's going to take some time, like the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. Like if it's just like, hey, I want to train 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks, it's not something that's going to super fire you up for the rest of your life. So, have short-term small goals, but it's got to be something bigger that you're working towards as well, because, losing fat, building muscle, all these types of things are just byproducts of training as well. So I like to get people to set big goals, something that's really audacious that they can work towards long-term. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like what you're saying there about the setting smart goals, like guys, I'm so with you. Even Tim and I are like sick of talking about smart goals. Like we're sick of it, as well. So we understand if you feel that way too. But what we're actually saying is like people walk in the gym and they're like, I just want to feel better. Well, like there's no measure on what that is, right? It's like people come to me for business coaching and they're like, I just want to be financially free. And it's like, cool, but what does that look like? Like how much money is that? Like how much you actually need? Let's put an actual figure on it and let's make it something that we can actually work towards, because just wanting to feel better or lose weight or move better, they're noble and amazing goals, but they're not measurable. So how will you ever know if you've exceeded them or achieved them? And then you constantly, when you set goals like that, you constantly feel like you're failing because you feel like you've never reached it. But that's because every single time we hit a goal, and think about any goal you've had in the past, every single time you hit a goal like that, you end up just moving on to the next goal.
Yeah, you
brush it off like, whatever, I'm here now. Like, you may have wanted that 100-kilo squat and then you get it. And then the next, like, oh, well, now I've got my eyes on 110, you forget that we don't even celebrate the milestones along the way. What else do you think keeps people stuck in a rut?
I think not committing to daily action. Obviously, a big goal like, let's say squatting 200 kilos is a big goal, but there's going to be process goals that come along with that. And a process goal is taking daily action towards it with your training, recovery, nutrition, these types of things. Goes back to the analogy of like slashing the tire. It's like just do the minimum or the maximum that needs to be done in the situation. So if you're someone that's waking up at 5:30 a.m. and you're thinking, oh, it's a bit rainy outside, I'm not really sure I want to go to the gym today, you're kind of failing on that daily action just because the weather is dictating your mood, therefore your ability to get results long-term in your life. And if that's showing up for you in the gym, it's probably showing up for you in other areas of life as well, which is something to be wary of and to question yourself on. So committing to daily action is going to be key, absolutely key for any endeavor, not just gym, but any area in your life. And if you're making any excuse to not do the daily action or do the thing or do the hard task or, move the big rock that's in your way, it's going to be really hard for you to get results.
Totally. I think everyone wants like that big growth. Everyone wants that, like I said before, that dream life, but so few people are actually willing to do what is necessary to get there, whether that's in your fitness and health journey, whether that's in your business or life journey, whether that's, climbing the corporate ladder, whether that's finding the love of your life. Like, are you actually doing the daily actions to be able to attract and bring in what you're actually working for? There's no way that Tim and I will be where we are in life right now if we didn't show up every friggin' day and get after it. If we have a week off, then that sets us back by often like 6 weeks or 12 months. And it's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. I think motivation is one of those things that, people are like, oh, I will train when I feel motivated.
It's not real.
It's not real. It's bullshit. If you're relying on motivation, guess what? You're going to fail.
Yeah, 100%.
110%.
So Steph has been showing up for her daily actions lately with her nutrition, which, we've been together over 5 years now. And it's the first time I've ever seen her commit to daily action with nutrition, which is pretty wild. And she's just hit her lowest weight in a very long time as a byproduct of a process goal of taking daily action. She's been tracking her calories, tracking her macros, tracking her protein, tracking her daily weight and averages over a week, and then seeing where that goes. And what do you know? Committing to daily action and processes.
You know what? It's actually easier than you think it's going to be. Yeah. Like I used to make up, guys, if you're listening, like I'm the queen of excuses.
Steph loves it.
The queen of excuses. I'm bored. I'm tired. I've got a lot on. I'm stressed. I've got a lot of work on. And guys, I run $1 million company. So just to be really clear, we all have shit on. We all have stuff going on. I have sick parents. Everybody has stuff going on in their life. It's just when you get so fucking sick of your own excuses, you will eventually commit to the daily action and that that will eventually have a payoff. It's a compounding interest. Like I've been sticking to this for 2 weeks today, and for 2 weeks, nothing moved really, did it? It kind of went up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But then finally over the last like couple of days, we're seeing the drop, and I just had to stay committed, and I had to stay focused, and I had to like keep making better decisions, you know, like, no, I'm not going to have this chocolate, but instead I'm going to boil an egg.
Yeah. It's been incredible. I really think of the book Think and Grow Rich, where short story, this guy, he buys a bunch of mining equipment to mine gold, and he, you know, gives up because he hasn't found gold. And then literally a foot away, another mining company picks it up and then finds gold in the exact same spot that he was. The moral of the story here is that consistency, daily actions, and just keeping going with your goals and daily actions are going to take you to it. Even if you feel like you're stuck in the rut, put one foot in front of the other and keep going. The next point I want to make here is too comfortable, not really pushing the boundaries. I run a gym. I own a gym. I see this every day in classes and sessions. Once you get there, that's cool. That's the hardest part. But when you're in the session, you need to be pushing your boundaries with what you're lifting, your training, your technique, your tempo, your reps, your sets, the weights, everything has to be pushing the boundary at some point. Otherwise, you're not going to create the adaptation or the stimulus to get a result. Without going into the science of strength training here, pushing your boundaries and getting uncomfortable is also an incredible thing to smash yourself out of a rut.
Like, I love that Tim uses the analogy of the gym, but guys, this is a life lesson all day long. Like if you're not pushing the boundaries of where you feel comfortable, if you're not, you know, stepping up at work and taking on that speaking presentation at that meeting, if you're not, you know, putting your hand up for bigger assignments and promotions at work, if you're not, you know, pushing the boundaries of like, you know, even, like maybe even in your sex life, like wherever that is showing up for you, you know, like where, like if you are too comfortable, like comfort is the place where dreams go to die. And so if you really truly want to live your best life and you really trying to, like, I think it's like if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And that's like all of nature. And so if you aren't constantly pushing the boundary, if you're not constantly trying to find ways to get yourself uncomfortable, trying new things, you know, we were recently out for dinner with a friend who was like, you guys should go and try like a tantra dance class. And we were like, whoa, that's pushing the boundary, you know, but like, you know, leaning into those things that are like, maybe that's a bit too far.
That's like sexual dancing, by the way. Yeah. If you don't know what tantra is, it's like sexual
But
dancing.
What we have done instead is we started like doing little dance routines in our lounge room for a bit of fun and a laugh. Just because obviously we have our wedding coming up. And just a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh, because that pushes the boundary of like, okay, we've been like, you know, let's like get out of our comfort zone. Let's move our body in ways that we don't usually do it. Like there's constantly got to be new, exciting stimulus. And that is the same in the gym. Like when you are comfortable and you're just doing your usual weights, you're doing your usual activities, you're doing your usual like food, you know, food and tracking and all that sort of stuff. Like it's got to be different. You've got to start pushing the boundary on that.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Tim, this is my favorite point that you've got written here for why do you think people get stuck in a rut?
What do you mean we have points written? This is all off the top of my head. You mean written on my face?
I mean, yeah, it's just written all over your face.
I'll let you tackle this.
This is my favorite. Fear of what everyone else thinks. The reason you're stuck in a rut is because you're so damn terrified of what everyone else is going to say about you if you step out and do something different. You know, like one of the guys in our gym, absolute legend, starting a podcast. I know that the reason that he's been so scared to do it is because like constantly, it's normal. Like everybody has this. Like I see it every single day in my coaching business because it's like, what will people think? If I do this, people are going to talk about me. What will they think about me? Will they say this? Will they think I'm great? Will they think I'm stupid? Will I know what I'm talking about? You know, like we all are positioning for approval in our society because as a culture, obviously, like if you go back caveman times, like we were a community, right? And so if we were in community and if we got outcast from that community, we would die because we would be on our own in the middle of nature with tigers and lions and, you know, we would die. And so we are always trying to position to be included as part of our community, even to this modern day. But ultimately, guys, if you look at any multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, highly successful human, whether that's in the gym, the guy with the mad six pack and the ridiculous body. I'm telling you right now, I am. I'm telling you right now, they're not positioning for approval because that guy that's got the six pack in the gym that's like working on his goals, he's taken his Tupperware out to dinner with his food in it.
And scales.
And weight. Like I did that the other night. I was taking scales out to dinner. Like the people who have the things that you want, they're doing it different. Look at Elon Musk, totally weird, absolutely psycho dude. If you look at anyone who's hyper, uber successful, they're weird, they're different, and they still manage to have everything that they ever dreamed of.
Couldn't agree more. And I'll go to my quote bank for this one, a Dr. Seuss quote. Those that matter won't mind, and those who mind don't matter.
Love it.
It's one of my favorite quotes for really giving a fuck about what people think, because at the end of the day, they're probably not going to be in your life, the people that are kicking up a shit about it, or the troll on the internet saying that, oh, you're shit, or you can't do it, or that sucks, or I'm offended, or everyone's fucking offended these days at anything. So
Tim said fat the other day on his Instagram story and got harassed, and it was hilarious. Roasted.
I think I said you shouldn't take fat loss advice from fat people, which I think is pretty fucking reasonable.
Got absolutely trolled.
Yeah,
guys, you're gonna get trolled if you're willing to step out. It's gonna happen. But ultimately, like, if you let the opinions and the feelings of others dictate your world, you'll end up on your deathbed wondering what if. Tim, off the back of that, if someone is listening to this and they are feeling like they're in a bit of a rut, what are your top 5 tips for shaking that energy?
First one has to be setting a bigger goal. Like, set something big, not just like, oh, I'm going to train 3 times this week. No, like, let's fucking talk big scale here. Like, hey, like, my lifelong fitness goal is to do X. Let's work towards that now. So some examples of this could be, you want to run 42Ks, or you want to do a marathon, or you want to do a roto swim, or you want to compete in a weightlifting competition, or you want to compete in a powerlifting competition, or you want to do a physique competition, or you want to do something like that. Set something big that is scary as fuck. Like, if it's not like, oh, it's fucking a bit icky of me to do that, then it's probably not a big enough goal for you. It's got to be something like that to get you super motivated to take the next step with your training, nutrition, recovery, mental health. Everything is kind of related to setting these big, scary, audacious as fuck goals.
100%. And then off the back of that, take action right now.
Yep.
Don't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. At time of recording, what is it? Tuesday? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. If you're listening to this, probably on Fridays, don't wait till Monday to start your nutrition plan. That's honestly one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. It's not like, it's waiting for 3 days is not going to drastically change anything. It's just another excuse to blow it on the weekend. So take action, go for a walk, go for a run, start the stretch, YouTube 20-minute mobility routine, whatever you got to do, take action today on that goal. Okay. If you're someone that trains with me, or me, reach out to me, message me. Hey, Tim, I want to start a new training program. What do you think? I will coach you on that. I will usually reply to you within an hour on Instagram. I'm that busy, so I will reply to you within the hour.
Probably within 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably within 5
minutes.
He
is very busy, but you're also the most efficient human of all time.
Yeah, I'll help you out. The next one, ask someone else to hold you accountable and stop trying to do it alone. Accountability is key. You need to drag someone else on this journey with you. And then it gives you the opportunity to show leadership as well, which is great. So I usually always post my workouts to Instagram and my story, because it's an accountability metric for myself. And if other people usually see me working out, they'll usually critique my technique, or they'll be like, oh, that wasn't fucking 3 seconds down. Stop cheating the program, or that was too light, or something like that. And it's an accountability metric for me. And I usually will train in a group as well. That also holds me accountable, so I'm not half-assing it. Which leads me to a point, as a lot of people try to train on their own and usually give it a half-ass effort, because there is no one watching them, critiquing them, or holding them accountable. And that's why I fucking love group training, especially small group training with like-minded individuals, because you got to step up. No one wants to be the shit one in the room.
Yeah.
And especially for me, with a slight ego and a big head. I always
very small ego,
very tiny ego. I like to win. And I like to be the best. So it pushes me to be the best in the gym.
I want to give another reference to accountability, because there's the fitness side of it, which is cool. But like, I think that one thing that Tim and I do really cool, like, this can be accountability in so many ways, but like, we hold each other accountable not to be on our phones past 6 p.m. And like, when one of us is sitting on the couch, it's like a real dig fest.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying.
It's pretty hectic, because like, you just pick up your phone to just quickly check a message or whatever comes through, and then the other person's like, oh, you're always on your phone.
Yeah.
But it is good for our mental health to not be on our phones at night, right? And so we are holding each other to that standard, even though sometimes it's really uncomfortable to have to say, hey, babe, like, you're on your phone again, even though you know that like but you know it's what's best for each other. And the same thing goes, like, Tim's held me massively accountable on stuff in the past, like all the time. Like, you should try being married to this guy, seriously. But like, you know, we've been down south, and like he'll be like, you're always complaining. But I never complain. He'll be like, every time you complain, I'm going to point it out. And every time you complain, you have to do 10 burpees. And all of a sudden I'm down south at a winery doing burpees at wineries because I didn't realize how much I was complaining. And it wasn't until Tim kept bringing it to my attention that I was like, shit, I really want to change this. Like, I don't want to be that person, but having someone to hold you accountable and almost hold that mirror up and show you what that looks like. It's like the key to your freedom. So stop trying to do it all alone. Find a coach, find a person, ask someone in your life that loves you and cares for you. Like, they will come on this journey with you.
My next way for getting out of a rut, this is so funny, and I'm just thinking of a story while I'm reading this, is put something on the line. So, you know, Steph's been on a weight loss journey for about 6 years now. She's tried basically everything, and the only thing she's never done is consistency, which is hilarious, which she's cracked after the 6th year. But there was a point, I think it was during COVID, where she was like, I've got to put something on the line. I was like, you do, babe. How about you transfer me $1,000? And in the next 12 weeks, if you lose 4 kilos, I will transfer it back to you. And if not, I'll keep it. And what do you know? She didn't lose 4 kilos and I made $1,000. And I actually didn't transfer it back to her because I was like, you know, she's got to fucking learn her lesson here.
Like, he legit didn't transfer it back. And like, I was like filthy at him. I was like, no, babe, you need to give it back to me. And he just wouldn't. And
I wouldn't.
And I mean, again, this is what it's like to be married to Tim. But like, it's true. Like, you've got to put something on the line. And, you know, for me this time around, I don't think there was anything on the line except for just realizing that I'm not getting any younger. And if I don't start doing something now, I'm going to end up old and in pain and die young. And I want to spend as much time on this planet as I can.
So I hope that helps you if you're in a rut.
Tim, tell me a little bit about, like, I know that you've had a few ruts yourself.
Love a rut.
Loves a rut.
Yeah. Rutty.
What do you reckon the topic of this conversation is? Just rut city.
Yeah.
Tell me about a time where you were in a rut and how it looked.
I got 2. I've got one about my wrist and one about business. So I'll go to the business one first. It's a pretty funny story. I actually told this on a podcast yesterday on the Coaches Collective. So I was in a bit of a business rut in 2019, 2018, and I was really out of options. So I was like, what the fuck do I do to grow this thing? And at the time, I didn't have a whole bunch of consciousness on where I wanted to go with my life and what was going on and what actually was the problem. So what do you do when you're in a rut? I flew to America, found a mentor, literally like in 3 days later, I flew to America, spent $2,000 on flights, found a mentor, paid him $1,000 for a conversation, rock up to this dude's gym. And he's got this sick car. I can't even remember what it is. Takes me to a coffee shop and I tell him the story and he goes, your leadership is terrible. And literally
so he paid $3,000 just to get told he's a shit leader.
Yeah. But like, that was the thing that got me out of a rut. Like, at that point, I started Googling and researching everything leadership, culture. How do I improve it? And what do you know? A month later, my business is booming. And still to this day, people say, your gym is the best vibe I've ever been in. Your gym has the best culture I've ever been in. Tim, you're a great leader. I'm not the perfect leader. I'm not like, you know, by all means, the best leader there is, but my leadership has improved from that day because I took action on it. And then most recently in December, I broke my wrist.
I actually want to stop you there. I just want to point out the fact that, like, in that situation, like, Tim gave some really good advice before about getting out of the rut. And like, he had big goals, but he wasn't taking action on anything. And like, you know, he made the decision and then 3 days later he was on a plane to LA, you know, like, and he'd booked in with a mentor and he had that conversation and like, he put something on the line, like a $3,000 investment, time away from his business, time away from his family, time away from his, you know, fiance and their dogs. Like, there has to, like, everything that Tim said before about like how to get out of a rut, like, he took his own advice and he actually did it. Like, he set a big goal, he took action, he put something on the line, he did something new. He found someone else to inspire him and give him some accountability. Like, this is what it's going to take to turn your life around, to change your life. So now go into your second story.
So actually a hilarious trip. I was like one day 2, and then I was like, cool, I'm done. Like, I've come to America for what I wanted. I had another 10 days there. So I just went up to a ski resort and smoked heaps of weed and skied and sucked at it. I really sucked at it and got a refund. And then I think I flew home early.
Yeah, you did. You flew home.
It was like a 2-week trip. I think I lasted like 7 days or something.
Came home.
Yeah, it was when the Game of Thrones finale was on. I was like, I want to see it with Steph at home. Anyway, the second one, I broke my wrist in December. It was fucking chaos. So I went for a huge clean, which is a weightlifting movement. If you're not aware,
yeah, he wasn't cleaning the gym.
Yeah, I wasn't cleaning the gym. I actually have to clean it this week. But anyway, came down, snapped my wrist, broke my ulnar, dislocated 5 bones in my hand, and severed many tendons. It was fucking chaos. So 4 surgeries later, my wrist is still not able to bend about 7 months later, but it's all good. Anyway, I was in a rut. I was probably on the best streak of training of my life in my 30th year on this earth. And bang, I get the worst injury I've ever had. And I thought to myself, you could be a leader and really step up here and give an example to everyone out there who has ever been injured on what to do, or you could be a silk and complain.
And like, you could just been a silk and like you had not even every right to be a silk and complain, but like, yeah, you had every right to be a silk. Like it's still not fully recovered. And this is like a long time on, but also like you could have made an excuse. Yeah. Like that's the best excuse not to train is like, oh, I've got a broken wrist. But what do you know? 3 days later, Tim is back in the gym. It was just squat city, bitch. Like
I was just squatting 4 times a week for it was months.
Just months.
4 months. I squatted way too much. My legs were not in a good spot. They were not progressing.
Don't necessarily follow that advice.
Do not follow that advice. But I did what I could, and I'm not a huge cardio guy, so going for walks was not fun for me for working out. So squatting it was, and back extensions.
Yeah. And I think like, again, it was just that you have a choice in every situation, guys. Like if you're in a rut, like everyone has an excuse not to do something. Like I can tell you right now, like everyone's got people who they love who are sick. Everyone's got trauma from their past. Everyone's got anxiety, depression, like some version of that. Everyone's got, an illness, an injury, something that's stopping them. Like we have someone in the gym right now who, is legally blind and legally deaf as well. And he still rocks up to the gym all the friggin' time. Shout out to, is Matt, right? It's Matt. Shout out to Matt
Cameron.
Like, what's your excuse, guys? Like if Matt can get to the gym and he can't even drive and he has to like cycle to the gym in the rain in the winter and he's rocking up and he's, tripping over barbells and because he can't see, like it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I went to bop him and he couldn't see my bop. Like
and give him a high five. Totally fine. Like absolutely. Like what really, really, really like encouraging you guys to look at yourselves right now and say like, what is your excuse?
Yeah, really get yourself out of the rut. Otherwise no one else will. Like there is no one else that is more qualified to get yourself out of a rut than you.
Yeah. You best. Just got to start taking some action. So if you could give our listeners, your listeners, not ours, sorry, just taking over your podcast.
That's cool.
If you could give your
Steph
listeners the Steph Gorton show, you can come see me.
Yep, I'm on there.
If you could give your listeners one takeaway, what would it be?
So couple of things here. Focus on small progress and take the next step. Okay. So if you want to lose weight, go for a walk right now. You might be on the, driving, pull over wherever you are on the freeway, wherever it is, go for a walk. Don't walk in front of a car. Just take the next step on that immediately. Don't wait for Monday. Fuck Monday. It is Monday today. Maybe it is Monday today when you're listening to this, but
in that case, don't fuck Monday.
Yeah. Don't fuck Monday. How would you fuck Monday? Unless it's a person. Anyway, the next one would be focus on what is working. And this all comes around to having a positive mindset without getting into the whole like, hey, you should be positive, la, la, la stuff. Like,
but you should be.
Yeah, but you should be. But focus on what actually is going right. A lot of the times, I did mention this on my Protein with Tim episode, which launches on Monday after this, is a lot of the times we focus on what's not going well in our life, where you really need to focus on what is going well. Because I could probably guarantee you, unless you live in a third world country, Africa or the Middle East or something like that, there's probably a lot more positivity around you than you give yourself credit for.
We live in one of the most abundant countries in the entire world. Like we're like some of the most privileged people in the entire world. If you're listening to this, I know most of Tim's listeners are in Australia and in the US. Like, guys, we have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, nothing at all. Next one. And the final point here is stop putting pressure on yourself. Enjoy the process of getting there. The only person that puts pressure on you is you.
Yeah, I think that like kind of goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning, which was like, who are you measuring yourself against? like I should be somewhere by when, compared to who? What, your sister, your brother, what society told you? Like, how about just running Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Like, how about just running your own race and
running your own race?
You should definitely run your own
Caucasians.
You should definitely run your own race and do what feels right for you, and stop just like constantly having that comparison to everybody else. And Tim, I would love for you to just wrap this up today with a little bit about polarity, because I do think that it's something that people kind of don't understand. Like, if you wouldn't mind diving in.
Yeah, Steph said this to me the other day. She's like, "You taught me polarity," and I was like, "Did I? That's such a fucking cool concept to teach someone." I'm privileged that I taught you that.
Yeah. Tim was like, "So what is polarity?"
So everything in the universe is in balance. Every good has a bad, and every bad has a good. Every up has a down. Every time you have a bad day, you have an equally and opposite good day. So you need to understand that everything is in polar opposite, and to enjoy the process of the bad and the good equally at the same time.
Yeah. And I think he did a really good job of explaining that. And I think that.
But you're laughing.
I think that, like, the way that you explained it to me initially was like, everything
Go on, explain my concept.
Everything has really good polar opposites, like good, bad, black, white, night, day, sun, moon. Like, everything has, we work in duality, right? Everything is in duality. We have male, female, like everything's in duality and in polarity. Gender and so neutral. I think that, what we're trying to say here is, like, if you're in a rut, you might be in the downtime, you might be in the shit time, you might be in the bad day, you might be in the, the dark time. You might feel like you're constantly in the rain right now. But the good news is that for every down, there has to be an up. And so your next great day is just around the corner. Your next big win is just around the corner. Your next, incredible high is just around the corner. But also, in the opposite term, when you're in those highs, it's about really massively embracing them.
Enjoy the fuck out of the highs.
Enjoy them, like, because I can guarantee you they're going to end. Like, the next bad shit's also coming, and that's just life, man.
Yep. It's not, even for me, it feels like there's been more bad shit than good shit, but probably in reality, in comparison to the universe, probably been some good shit. So I hope you enjoy our episode on Rut City. And if you're in a rut, we have armed you with at least 30 minutes. I have no idea how long we've been talking of ways you can get out of a rut. So you got 2 choices now, or 3 choices. Do nothing and just be like, yeah, that was a cool podcast by Tim and Steph. The second choice is actually change something. Take the necessary small steps. And the third one is keep dwindling and going backwards. But I want you to imagine each of those 3 scenarios, play them out. If you keep doing nothing and going backwards, where's your life going to be in 5 years? If you take the positive steps forward, where is your life going to be in 5 years? And if you just keep listening to us, then hopefully one day we plant enough nuggets in your head that one day we do something.
Yeah. Love that, Tim. Such an epic episode.
Thanks for listening.